Another beautiful game from Fischer, now in Manhattan, New York, right?
Against Benko.
Against Benko.
Benko, yeah.
What tournament was this? Was like a regular tournament
This
or?
was the American Championship, the final from the American Championship, and Fischer was still young enough. I mean, 20 years, 20 years old, and he made, through demonstration in this championship, he won all games. I mean, he had 11 from 11.
Okay.
So he became champion, of course, but this game is probably the most beautiful from the whole tournament, against Benko.
Okay,
D4,
let's see it.
G6, D4, Bishop G7. Now C3, D6. This is the so-called Pirtz-Ufimtsev defense. Pirtz and Ufimtsev were the two grandmasters who introduced this kind of defense in the world of chess.
For black.
For black, yes.
You mean with
It's
the?
not so bad, but you have to play very carefully, and sometimes you have big problems if white plays an attacking game, like in our game here. Fischer with white, he's trying to come very quickly. In this period, that was probably one of the variations that gave many problems for black, and you have to play very, very carefully to avoid a miniature turn, not to lose very quickly, you see. But we'll see what happens in
But
this
what
game.
is the difference between this one and the King Indians? King Indians is E6 instead of D6, right?
No, this is still the King's. If you play against King's Indian, normally you have also the pawn in C4. But King's Indian comes in some kind of position where white starts the game with the first move D4. Against D4, you don't have usually the move C4. If you don't have the move C4, you have another possibility, another defense, and you have this one.
Okay, so for this structure, this
Yeah.
one
To have an
sometimes
idea
works.
like this, if the pawn is still in C4 and black has the knight in F6 and castle, is the so-called four pawns variation against King's Indian, but with the pawn in C4. This is
Yes.
the big difference.
Yeah.
Knight
Okay.
F6, Knight F3, castle, and now Bishop D3. The alternative is Bishop E3 instead of Bishop D3, but they are both very good. Yeah. Bishop G4. For instance, here, if black played immediately instead of Bishop G4, Knight C6, after E5, white is better in all positions.
So if black will come here,
Instead of Bishop G4, the
yes.
bishop is still in C8.
Okay.
Yeah, and if he tries Knight C6 immediately, Knight C6, after E5,
Yes.
white is better. Yeah, takes, for instance, in the E5, takes with D or F. Let's say he takes with F, yeah? Knight D5, D5, okay?
Yes.
And now he can take in D5, yeah? And now simply C3 gives advantage for white. And after Bishop G4, you are much better even if you play Queen E2, but it's probably still better to play immediately H3 and transpose in some kind of endgame with clear advantage for white. Now
But
H3,
yes.
you take in F3, yeah, and you take with the queen. You have to take it there, and now takes with G and Rook A D8 or Rook F D8, F4 simply, and white is clearly better. With two bishops and advantage in center, everywhere.
So this
It
is
was
for a final game is a winning
well,
position.
almost winning. Very unpleasant for black. I won like this with white against the grandmaster from Holland, Donner, who was one of the best in the world in that time. But the game is very unpleasant for black. No counterplay at all, and white has a clear edge everywhere. In center, king side and queen side, everywhere. So bishop g4. Okay, bishop g4 h3 takes with the queen. Yeah, and bishop e3. Yeah? That was the idea from black, to come very quickly to counterplay. Now here he played e5. Yeah, takes with d, takes, and now you have to push. Even if you don't want to push, you have to push, because if you allow him to take in f4, if you take, in e5, black is already with a very strong position. With the knight in e5 is okay. Black is very good game. But now he has to be very careful because white is attacking quickly. If you allow it, if he has time to play g4, the position is almost lost for black, because he threatens already g5 and f6, and no counterplay at all. Imagine if you have the bishop in g8. So the only idea was to take in f5 immediately, and now the black hope was to take with a e pawn in f5 instead of taking with the queen, and there he could sacrifice a pawn for initiative, for counterplay. If you take with the pawn, he has time to play
the
e4.
E5.
E4. He gives a pawn,
yes,
but opens the diagonal from his bishop from g7 and threatens to come with the knight in e5. And he has some good game there. It's not so easy. Yeah. But like this is clearly better for white. Knight d4, queen f2, queen f2. Now it's clear white is better. He threatens to castle king side or queen side, both. Both are very dangerous for black. Pardon. Knight e8, castle. Okay. It was also very good to castle the other way, the queen side was also very strong. But okay, knight d6. And now
strong because white here is a good attacking on the king
he
side.
will attack on the king side, but it's a little bit unusual because if he has the king on the other side,
yes,
the first glance, the king is very safe in b1 or c1, and he has the all time in the world to come with the pawns,
to push the pawns.
g4, g5, h4, and so on. This is a little bit more unusual, the attacking chances for white, but Fischer will demonstrate that the attacking chances are good enough, and he will win convincingly.
So basically using a simple
you'll
plan,
see,
which is to push the pawns.
when you look at the position, white is better, but nobody will expect that he wins in less than 10 moves
From here.
from such a position.
Okay.
Yeah. So queen g3, king h8, queen g4. He starts, coming with his queen. The idea is to come in h5, and later on he prepares the final combination. We'll see that. So now,
yeah, he made two moves
with the queen, but the queen comes from f2, g3, g4, and now to h5. That is the idea.
e3.
And he prepares a very nice final combination, queen h5. Now everything is clear. The idea is to take in d4, to open, the diagonal by playing somehow the move e5.
Yes.
And then is
checkmate.
mate. Yeah,
yes.
It's checkmate. No? Now you have to find some defense for black. Yeah. Queen e8. Yeah. And now he takes in d4. Yeah. Takes in d4. And now comes the fantastic move, rook f6. He gives the rook. Now if you take in f6, after e5, you can resign. Mate.
Yeah, because the pawn, defense
if I open the diagonal, it's mate. I'm attacking the bishop from f6. You can't defend, and you receive mate forced on h7.
Yeah.
So now, king j, the only move,
to run away.
Yeah, to run away. And now, e5. Destroys the last hope. Now, if you take in g3, in c3 is mate, of course, in h7. And the position is completely lost. Now the only move is h6. Yeah.
Okay.
h6, and now quiet, knight e2, and black resigned. No counterplay at all, and the game is finished.
So bringing in the last.
Yeah. Now I'm threatening to take the rook, to take in h6. I'm threatening to take in d6. I'm threatening to take in d4. I'm threatening to play knight g3, f5, and finally also the rook to f1. So black has no counterplay at all, and he resigned. Well, in my opinion, everything is home analysis from Fischer. Well, the impression was so strong that for 2-3 years nobody would play again Pirtsu Fimchev in the big tournaments. A crushing defeat. Yeah.
Retired the position got retired.
Yeah.
But here it wasn't better for the knight to be moved away.
But when you have such a knight in d4,
yes,
you don't want to go back. If he goes back, the attack continues. I mean, he comes
He always thought about this.
Yeah, he tries to
F5.
play f5, you know, to
Yeah,
have some
F5.
counterplay. Yeah,
Maybe exchange the queens.
yeah, that was the idea. You know.
Yeah.
It was move by move. You know, it's not winning immediately. You have to play very well with white. But if you play well, the position is completely lost for black. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was very beautiful. It's probably the most beautiful game of the whole tournament, or the American Championship. You know, Rook f6 is a fantastic move. You know, not very difficult to see, but very, very beautiful.